I don't know about nobody else, no other parents, but I would rather them tell me they got my son than they found him. If anybody understands what that means, like I would always rather call they got him than we found him. And I don't think the mother's thinking like that, and everybody's mad at me. But I really don't care right now. Like I really don't care. I try to prevent this. Um, a lot of parents want to be their kids' friends. I'm not the kid's friend at all. Like I'm your dad, and I feel like that's all I have to be. I don't care what nobody else is doing, and so that's why I'm talking to y'all, cause nobody would listen to me. Like hitting everybody's inbox. I've hit council members up. I'm not gonna say no names, even though I should, but I just say some people like to party. Um, I don't know what else to say.
I'm sure he's talking about some people. When he says some people like the party, I'm sure he's talking about the Democratic Party. Peace to the Omniverse. Wary observations, righteous discussions unite people. It's the Word Up Podcast, and I'm your host, OMNIETC, Omni, etc. Back at it again with another video. Reviewing some content. Quite disturbing content, actually. So in Louisville, Kentucky, and for those of you that don't know, it's where I currently reside. Louisville, Kentucky. Then the past week, we've had 2 shootings, both at bus stops. Now, what the motives of said shootings are, I'm not entirely certain. Those details are to come out at a later time once the, discovery and all of that happens, and we can actually get some concrete evidence as to what exactly occurred. But apparently, in one of the bus stop shooting incidents, a young man gunned down a woman with child. She was pregnant. She didn't make it. I don't believe the baby made it. And he is now to answer for this egregious act. Now, in all of this, the first thing that comes to mind when all of this is being asked and all of this is being questioned, what pardon me, what were the parents doing? Where are the parents? And what role do they actually play in their child's life? Because nowadays, with, quote unquote, how the dating scene is, how everything's being presented on social media, what we see happening in a lot of relationships, there's a lot of different styles of relationships out there. Okay. A lot of them are dysfunctional. Some of them get along all right. But, statistics show that co-parenting isn't really the best thing for a child's development, right? Statistics show that even though, people are co-parenting, living at separate addresses, but still playing some sort of role in the child's life, children that are of single mother households statistically have increased tendencies to public violence, increased likelihood to go to prison, jail, join gangs, pursue a life of crime. Pretty much majority of those things you would not want for your child, if you are a parent. So when we look at stories like this, it just really breaks my heart. Because it seems like things could have been done to prevent this. It seems like, with as much as we know today as opposed to yesteryear when they didn't have the information, they didn't have the statistics, they didn't have the data, they didn't have measurable outcomes of success just yet. But it seems like even though we're in the information era with ChatGPT and Google and all this information at our fingertips on these devices that we use every day, we seem to be doing less with that constructively than people did of yesteryear, with less access, less connections, less information at their fingertips. And it just boggles my mind sometimes. But we're going to play this first video. The first video that we're going to play and react to is the father of the boy that did the shooting. And he actually turned in his son to the police. I commend that so much. That had to be a very hard decision to do. I respect him so much for that. And you're going to hear in his own words how he would have preferred them to say, talking about LMPD, them to say, we got him, instead of they found him, meaning they found the body. Without further ado, let's jump on in.
Take me through, I guess, a little bit what you were just saying last week. You saw his picture on TV.
Yeah, I saw his picture. I was scrolling on Facebook, and I'm just scrolling, and I noticed my son's build, his height, and I'm just like, that looks like my son. And so I read the caption, and I'm just like, my heart sank. And a couple hours later, after I'm trying to figure out if it is my son, I call his mom, and I'm like, where was? And she said, up Village West. I was like, so you know. And she's like, well, I was going to call you, and we ended up getting into an argument. I told her that I had filed an order almost like exactly a year ago. Nothing happened. It's kind of like I'm just getting ignored to the point where I feel like I have to be silent, but I've reached out to everybody that I could, and I've got no help, to the point where I'm starting to go crazy thinking, am I the only one that, like, my son, he's never disrespected me my whole life. He called me lame that night. He texted me, he called me lame. He just kind of talked bad to me and had me rethinking my situation or my decisions that I made. But I don't know about nobody else, no other parents, but I would rather them tell me they got my son than they found him. If anybody understands what that means, like I would always rather call they got him than we found him. And I don't think the mother's thinking like that, and everybody's mad at me, but I really don't care right now. Like I really don't care. I try to prevent this. A lot of parents want to be their kids' friends. I'm not the kid's friend at all. Like I'm your dad, and I feel like that's all I have to be. I don't care what nobody else is doing, and so that's why I'm talking to y'all, because nobody would listen to me. Like, hitting everybody's inbox. I've hit council members up. I'm not gonna say no names, even though I should, but I just say some people like to party. I don't know what else to say.
I'm sure he's talking about some people. When he says some people like the party, I'm sure he's talking about the Democratic Party that lets things like this slip through the cracks. Oh, we'll get around to it, and nothing ever happens, nothing transpires, nothing comes of it. And when he's, like I said earlier, when he said I'd rather them say that we got him than we found him. Pretty sure he means we found the body. And it's tough to come to that conclusion as a father, but I think he did absolutely 100% the right thing, because these are the cards that were dealt. This is what he had to embrace. It's either going to end in him being turned in peacefully, or it's going to end in a struggle shootout with the cops. On my block in the past week, there was a standoff with police. You know what I mean? Thank God that ended peacefully, because dude could have tried to have a shootout. But your one gun versus their 20. Do the math. Come out with your hands up and pray to God that they're not trigger happy. Because by the time it escalates to that point, you done already messed up to where they could probably shoot you and get away with it. I'm just saying what the reality is. I'm not saying that I like it, but I'm telling you what can happen.
You're telling me you try to prevent this, and you have some proof of what you were trying to prevent. So take me through. You said
I'll read it out.
What did you notice in your son last year that made you worry?
I seen Facebook post, not Facebook posts. I seen Instagram posts with him posting guns and stuff like that. I would try to get a hold of the mother, no response, and so finally, I seen a post where he was posting the gun. He said, "I'm not all right," and I'm like, "Okay, well nobody listen to me. I don't want to do this because I know that he's gonna be mad at me." But so I went up to the courthouse and I wrote the statement. It says, "Hi, my name is Tony Miller, and I have a son I am worried about because of the way he talks and the things on social media that he does. He has guns and access to guns, and I'm worried at the rate he's going. I'm scared that something bad will happen to him or someone else. I've seen him post a gun and say that he is not okay. The mother won't cooperate with me in order to save my son. I'd love for him to have a mental evaluation. I think him having access to guns and talking about revenge makes him a threat to himself and others around him, and even me." And I meant that. And
Okay, so this was the motive, revenge. He's talking about revenge. He's posting guns on Instagram. He's a confused, scared child because he doesn't know what to do. One of his friends or his homie or somebody he knew got. And so in that environment, if my friend got, if my homie got, my brother, cousin, what have you got, I need to arm myself. Which is somewhat of a logical conclusion to come to. However, he just acted, didn't discuss it with his mom, didn't discuss it with his father. His father had to find out about what was going on with him through Instagram because he's not in the home. The mother's not cooperating with the father, so the co-parenting situation had destabilized. And so the father felt the need to go to the courts and handle it that way. His pleas weren't taken serious because CPS had reviewed this paperwork. If this is more than a year ago. He said this happened last year, where he actually felt the need to go to the courthouse and handle it that way. Nobody came through. Nobody picked him up. Nobody checked on the kid. Even though there's guns in his complaint, there's social media activity talking about revenge and causing violence to others and harm to others, and nobody bothered to check in on that. So I'm not going to put that, maybe with the mother, but I would not put this on the father. Even though he does have a part to play, he created life with someone who was uncooperative, and that was his decision to make and what have you, and all of that. But that's as far as that ball rolls. I blame this on the people, Metro Council, the people of the municipality, the government of the municipality, the people that he filed this paperwork with, and it just sat and things fell through the cracks, and then things escalated, time went by, time rolled on, and now we're here. And a woman has been dispatched from the earth, as well as her own, likely her unborn child. So when we say, the first logical thing is, where are the parents? Parents are dealing with their own dysfunction, but this man of a working mind and forethinking mind was actually thinking ahead. And that's what's so tragic about this. It's that he was actually thinking ahead. He was actually showing concern for his son. He has documented concern for his son. And a woman is dead because it fell on deaf ears at the government. Understood. Let's continue.
The judge did sign off on the order to get him put in the hospital, involuntary. but nobody ever did nothing. And there's only so much I can do without getting a domestic violence order out against me or something like that, because I'm the type that I do want to just pull up and cause hell, but there's laws that prevent that too. So I can only do what I can do in the law, and that's why I say I feel like I was failed, and my son was failed, and even other people's kids who was at that bus stop. If somebody's kid was hit, now it's even worse, and it feels like I'm the only one that was trying to prevent that a whole year beforehand. But
And that's the other side of the coin when we have this conversation. The overregulation of the family, the overregulation of parental rights. I understand there's a lot of parents that have done, there's far too many, let me say that. It's not a lot, I don't believe it's the majority, but it's far too many cases where children have been treated egregiously by their parents, abuse, sometimes essay incidents and things of that nature. But this man seems like a good dude. He seems like a concerned father. Seemed like he filed paperwork a year ago, right, in order to prevent this from happening. And he would have pulled up to the residence of the mother, but where the boy was, to handle business. But he always has to second think, oh, well, damn, if I do this, she's going to call the cops, claim domestic violence. I'm going to be in jail. And now he's going to be without a father anyway. And now I'm without my freedom and unable to do anything from inside the prison, inside the jail. Then I'm tied up in more litigation. Court costs. Okay? The cost of court costs. I'm going to have to spend all of this money that's going to take away from me potentially paying child support, spending money on my son, taking care of myself, what have you, living life, trying to get along the way that I've been trying to get along, trying to do the right thing, trying to turn these circumstances around, what have you. And now he has to take all of this into consideration when he wants to interact with his son in a meaningful way, to be a disciplinarian. This is one of the reasons why I'm like, why even... I always look at sex way different from most of my peers. I'm like, why should I even partake in an act that is going to have me locked to a person that I can't see me spending the rest of my life with or interacting with for the rest of my life? Just because both of us were hot for the moment. The number one thing that we all know can land us tied to someone, chained to another human being for 18 years. Whether we want to be with them or not, whether we want to interact with them or not, whether we want to do, whether we even want to entertain them or not for the next 18 plus years, right? We are literally creating life with people that we don't want to spend life with. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make a lick of sense to me. And as a result, we have these cases like this man who was ignored by the system, ignored by the mother. The child was left to do whatever he wanted to do with little to no guidance. And his view of the world is, oh, my father turned me into police custody, so he's a lame to me. As opposed to, oh, my father had me go to the authorities before they tried to gun me down in the streets. It's like when my children walk the earth, I promise you, I have no qualms about being the bad guy. And I don't believe this man should feel any type of way about being the bad guy when you know what you did was right. And he did the absolute right thing in these circumstances.
So nobody came to pick him up for the hospital?
Nobody came to pick him up. The mother moved about a year and a half ago, and I never could find out where she was, and that's why I had to put unknown address. But I would thought that they could find her the same as they could anyone else. Like, she has an ID. I don't know how they couldn't have went and found him, or his school. I told him what school he went to. Like, go pick him up at school if you have to, but like, just nothing. And then I have to scroll.
There's certain laws in place that regulate that from happening. I'm just breaking this down. So, like, you can give them a name, but there could be multiple people with that same name. So they can't really track people via address just based off of a name, especially if it's a common name. So that wasn't going to work. Now, if you had her social security number, like I have my wife's social security number, they can be tracked through those means. If they get another address and resident, because certain documents that they would have to sign up for, whether it be a mortgage, you have your social security number on that, or or even rent. You know, sometimes a lot of times they check your credit, so social security on that, and that can be tracked. Or even like a good thing to have to track people and trace people, debit card, credit card numbers. If you just have the debit card or credit card numbers of a person, you know, the law enforcement can go ahead, do forensic accounting and track the activity of debit card and credit card numbers, where the money was spent, the area around there, and then they could find people that way. But a name alone wasn't going to do it. School, good idea, but there's also certain red tape involved with that when it comes to kids too. Like, kids have way too many rights nowadays. When I was growing up, my parents were able to, you know, threaten my very existence, and it was completely cool and accepted. And I think we need to get back to that, which is why I'm calling for the deregulation of the family unit. Fathers need to be fathers, mothers need to be mothers, and children need to know a child's place.
And it could have been I could have found something different. It could have been 15-year-old shot and killed. It could have been anything. So the fact that everybody's acting like it's not a big deal, it could be y'all's kids. It could be, and I worried about other people's kids too, not just mine. And that's why I did what I did and turned them in. I feel like that's what should have been done.
What transpired last week that led to what happened? Do you know?
No, I don't know. Last time I was with my son, I asked him about his life. I asked him, was everything going good? We went shopping. I asked him, was there anything that I can change? Am I doing everything okay as a dad? Anything you want me to stop doing? Anything I need to... He told me no. He told me to stop worrying so much. And I kind of was like, I wanted to call the officers and try to have them come pick him up then. But I thought to myself, if I done took my son out to eat, then took him shopping, if I have police come pick him up and put him in the hospital right now, he's never gonna trust me again in his life. And that's why I said, I told the detective, hey, you can come lock me up if you want to. Like, I take accountability. I had a chance. My feelings got in the way, and then 3 weeks later, this happened. So I feel like I'm responsible. I looked at all the comments on WOKY. I understand people's comments about the parents. I think they should be held responsible. I take the first lick, and I'll be held responsible. But I think everybody needs to be held accountable and responsible, because we're not the reason that it didn't go all the way left. We're lucky it didn't go all the way left, and that's about all I have to say.
So then, with what's happening this week, do you think there's a connection there to what happened last week?
I mean, it could be, it might not be, but if there is, nobody was listening or paying attention to prevent it. Like,
Okay, so I have to make a quick retraction. Apparently, this was the original shooting, not the one where a life was taken in the past week. Because this video is like 5 days old, so they're talking about something that happened essentially 2 weeks ago, and this past week, you know, that's when the lady with the child died. So these kids are wilding in the streets, man. These kids is wilding out here. So the first shooting, That's what this one is about. But there was a subsequent shooting in which a woman at a bus stop, just like this shooting was at a bus stop, and she nor her baby made it.
Again.
Is your son still in jail?
Yeah,
currently?
he's still currently locked up.
Was there an argument between other people last week, or you don't?
Yes, he got in an argument with a kid, and the detective said that my son tried to walk away, and he said when he tried to walk away, I guess bullets was fired at him, and he just turned around and he started firing back, and I'm 100% in belief of self-defense, but you're 15. I don't allow you up here. I told your mother not to have you up here. You shouldn't be able to beef with nobody up here. You're 15. When I was 15, like I wasn't doing this type of stuff.
I mean, where did he even get a gun?
I ain't even gonna say that on here, but if I'm a person that you wouldn't think would give it to him, like,
So for you as a dad, you're trying. You're trying your
yeah,
best.
I'm trying, and I don't want to use race, but a lot of black dads kind of get ignored like this to the point where something bad happens. Then everybody says, well, where was the dad? Getting ignored.
When your son was supposed
And that's the paperwork. It's got his name on it. It's a statement. This time last year, looks like August 6th, 2024. So around the same time last year. It's been sitting on somebody's desk for more. It's been sitting on somebody's desk for more than a year. I don't know if anybody was examining it. I don't know if anybody was looking over the paperwork. I don't know what anybody was doing. It says right there, talking about revenge. I seen him post a gun and say that I can't see because the subtitles are in the way, but it has gun on the paperwork. It shows that the father was in fear. I'm scared that something bad will happen right there. You can see it right there. Something bad will happen. In black and white. It's a copy of his statement, if not the actual statement. So, pretty decent handwriting too. You don't see that very often nowadays. I know I don't because I have subtle hand tremors. But this is heartbreaking, man. And so you could say what were the parents doing, but really it comes down to one of the parents was concerned, the other one seemed to not be concerned. And so the father's concern was not taken seriously. So this is what it looks like. It's right there. You see the date. It's over a year ago. By about a week or two. It's over a year ago. Who read this document? Who looked over this document? Whose job was it to review this document? Why didn't it get reviewed? Or if it did get reviewed, why wasn't it taken seriously? How often do parents tell on their children? How often? So circumstances have to be pretty dire for a father to turn in his son.
to be, you said involuntary hold in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
When he was supposed to go there, was anybody supposed to take him, or was somebody?
Yeah, he was supposed to get picked up, and the police was supposed to take him up there.
Okay. So you were trusting that they were going to come do this?
Yeah, I made calls to the police department. With me not knowing the address, they said that they couldn't go get him without an address, and so I told them about where I thought they lived and the kind of car the mom drove and to everything, and still no.
So you didn't know where he lived?
License plate. The kind of car is one thing, but a lot of people drive the same car in any jurisdiction. License plate number. Anybody that you're dealing with that you have children with, make sure you have their license plate number, a picture of their license plate number. so that they can be found. License plate number can track them to the registration, which could track the name and the address of the person that you're trying to locate, or the former address, depending on if they moved recently. But then from that former address, they can go to the post office, and we'll just work the whole system to actually figure things out. But what I'm confused about is one hole in this story is he didn't know where the kid lived, but 3 weeks ago took him out to eat and shopping and what have you. That yeah, I mean, so where did you drop him off at when y'all were done with the interaction? I don't know.
At that point.
Nope. I actually found out the day that my son got in that shooting. I went and drove around the West End until I found a car and got the address. And that's how I found the. Because at that point, I wasn't worried about no domestic violence. I wasn't worried about a line on me saying that I pulled up and said this. I just didn't care at that moment. I was going to get that address. And so that's what I did, and I turned them in.
So to see then this happen a second time, and we don't know, I guess, who's involved. If it isn't the same person, maybe from last week. You feel like this could have been prevented? Too?
Yeah, 98% of bad things can be prevented if people take the right precautions and they're not egotistical. Like, a lot of things can be prevented, but
Okay. Now the second video, I think, is the community leader's outrage. Let's go back. Actually, you know what? I'm out of time. We're gonna have to make this a part 2. But get back to it. It just really breaks my heart that things could have been handled better. Whoever's job it is to review these things, to ensure that these things do not happen, to ensure that people are kept safe and children are handled appropriately. Like, you can't take a parent's right to discipline their child away, or interfere with a parent's right to discipline their child, and then not have acceptable recourse in return. Like, you take away the parents' rights to, or let me say it this way: you induce a sense of fear, a sense of consequence for a parent trying to do the right thing by their child. And then the first thing you want to do is blame the parent when these things happen. Well, you couldn't do it. Like, the system makes it so that I can't control my child the way that they did us when we were coming up. Like I said, my parents were able to threaten my very existence. I brought you in this world, I could take you out this mug. But nowadays, it's totally off the table. So now these kids don't have a healthy fear of their parents, and they don't have a healthy respect for authority. And because they don't have those two things, they run amok, they run the streets. They're more concerned about impressing their friends than making their people proud. They're more concerned about impressing their friends or impressing some girl than making their family proud. And I really do feel for this father. Tony, I feel for you, dog. This is it's unfortunate, but I salute you because you definitely did the right thing given the circumstances. It was a hard decision to make, but for the betterment of the community, and as you were saying, you were thinking about more than just your son. For the betterment of the community and for the protection and safety of your son, you decided to turn him in so that he can get He could have 4 walls, 3 square meals a day. He can be protected from himself, from the need to have a gun. Ain't no guns in jail. Ain't no guns in prison. He gonna have to use those hands. He's gonna have to develop them skills with those hands. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because, given the father's accounting of the story that the detective recounted to him, you know, this kid was acting in self-defense. Somebody probably shot him or shot at him. He was busting back. Is what it is. But he was the one that was held liable. He's the one whose description that they have, not the other people. And so in the child's mind, it's unfair because he knows exactly what happened and they're not going after the other person. Maybe they will. But, you know, he was the one that everybody saw. And this is very important for young men to understand. They're going to see your reaction more often than they're going to see the initial act that caused your reaction. So you're going to have to think in advance. You're going to have to think, your way through those situations. But busting back is, I guess, what you do. But you're not supposed to, like his father said, I don't allow you up there. You're not supposed to be up there. You're not supposed to be running the streets. You're not supposed to be having a beef with those people. Sounds like he's not even from that neighborhood, or he was from that neighborhood. Maybe the mother removed him from that neighborhood, but he still wanted to go back, hang with his friends, had a girl he liked up there. You never know with these boys. But that's not the point. The point is that the father, a year in advance, foresaw the consequences of his son's behavior. And now, when those consequences have manifested, they've come to fruition, everybody wants to blame the father who was trying to do something about it without having to get locked up and be put in a situation where he can do absolutely nothing about it. Because if he goes to jail, then what does the boy do? He just reverts back to the same behavior because daddy's not around to stop him. So it's a catch-22. But I just wish that whoever was supposed to review that document in Metro Council or whoever it was did their damn job. And I wish that the system that is so quick to judge and apprehend parents for disciplining their children would actually support parents for doing what they need to do when it comes to these kids. Worry Observations, Righteous Discussions, Unite People. It's the Word Up podcast. I've been your host, OMNI, ETC, Omni, etc. Listen, let me know what you think down in the comments section. I love hearing from you all. I got to run, but until next time, peace.